I just got the phone call that we have a match with an amazing family. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're here and have been here before, it was probably for videos from our embryo adoption journey and having our first little boy who arrived last December of 2019. If you're here now, starting videos for embryo adoption number 2. I will hopefully continue when I have time to create the videos that were more of the vlogs from the first pregnancy, but now we're already, here we are, he will be 1 in December. I have not made even half of them. And here we are moving on to adoption number 2. So I'm gonna try to do both simultaneously. It might be a little crazy, but this is the first episode for embryo adoption number 2. Many of you have been following along with us since we announced our pregnancy the summer of 2019 and that we conceived through embryo adoption. And today I am beginning vlogs for embryo adoption number 2. I am so excited. We applied and filled out everything almost 3 weeks ago now. We were told right away it could move very quickly with how many embryos were already out there and waiting to be adopted. And by a day or two after our applications were submitted, we got the email that our information and our books were being sent off to a wonderful family. So I've kind of just been sitting here for the last couple weeks, waiting and wondering, what do they think of us? And will this match work out? And I just got the phone call that we have a match with an amazing family. I'm so excited and I'm so grateful. I don't have a lot of words. I'm super emotional. I got to learn a little bit about them on the phone with our adoption director. And it just, again, it always blows my mind how perfectly coordinated our match with Colton's family was. And now this match with this new family and all this information I was briefly given. I'm waiting on the email with all the official documents and more information about them to kind of know everything. But from what our director could tell me, God is over all of it. And I can try to worry and wonder and fill my head with all kinds of questions and yes, sometimes doubts, but this morning is one of those mornings that, I'm overwhelmed, and God is so, so good. So we have a match and we'll move on to coordinating the transfer of the embryos from where they're at to the facility I'm going to be establishing care with here since we moved, and drawing up the legal documents. So stay tuned. The next couple months are probably going to be crazy and so much fun. And it's wild that we're here again and we're in this season of adoption, and down the road we'll be in the season of preparing for our next frozen embryo transfer and growing our family, which is all exciting and wonderful. And I'm beyond grateful, but stay tuned. So I just made the video a couple days ago about our match and how exciting that is and everything. And I wanted to share today more insight into all that is happening with coordination now that we have a match. So while our director of our agency is working on all of the legalities with contracts between us and our donor family, I am working on establishing care with a new RE. We moved about a month ago, so I was able to have all of my care, everything in one place at our last base. We've moved because we PCS'd, and so we went all the way across the country So I am still trying to find a new RE, and I think I found one. Fortunately, they are 3.5 hours away. So something that is a requirement for our adoption is that the facility we work with has on-site storage for our embryos. And I don't know why, but all of the facilities in the somewhat closer vicinity of where we live do not have on-site storage. So looking into a 3.5 hour away clinic, which is okay because they are in a network of reproductive endocrinologists that adds to the credibility. So I've been able to see reports and statistics on them, which is comforting. And they're in the same kind of group that the clinic I worked with in Utah is, which is also very comforting. So because they're so far away, I started exploring, could I do my monitoring and preparation for the transfer at a local clinic and have my ultrasounds and all of that closer by, and then just go up there for the transfer, and then back on this end, have my lab work for my betas done here. A lot of moving parts. Basically, the last 3 days have been spent on numerous phone calls with nurse coordinators, IVF coordinators, clinics, doctors, nurses, trying to ask questions about capabilities of different clinics locally, and also calling insurance about changing referrals and a whole mess of things. But what it's looking like is we're just gonna make it work. No matter what, we're gonna make it work. We're just gonna make it work that I will do all of my care at this clinic 3.5 hours away. So definitely a different facet to this adoption, where before I did everything at one clinic, and it was about a 45-minute to an hour drive depending on traffic. Not bad, but we're just gonna make this work this way. So a little different, a little stressful, but what I keep telling myself is we have time. We're not planning a transfer for a little bit. And that's why right now is a great time to kind of be working out all these legalities. And I've been so thankful through my Instagram to have the support of a bunch of different women who, when I reached out asking questions, came back with so much help and encouragement from their own stories and how they did things. That has been amazing to kind of have that community around me when we didn't have that the first time around, because we never shared about our infertility or embryo adoption until after we were announcing that we were pregnant. So very cool this time around to have that community and to have those ladies offering support and words of advice and everything else. So that's fun. Basically, where we're at now then is I'm still sorting out treatment plan, first visits, medical history with this potential new reproductive endocrinologist, hopefully talking with them again soon to kind of sort things out as to a first appointment. Do I need to have any tests or procedures done again, since it's been about 2 years since I had my initial ones done? And then waiting on contracts. So things have moved very fast for this adoption. We had a feeling it would, but we're so thankful and super excited for the future, and just knowing that we have some embryos that are, going to be waiting for us. And now insight into, I guess, the emotion side of that. I was talking with a friend the other day, and obviously in the video earlier, you could see the emotions that I had about receiving word that we were matched with a family. And I don't know what it's like to get a positive pregnancy test just naturally. But the way to me that it felt, I can maybe think I might feel some of the same emotions or the excitement, because for us, when I found out we had a match, it's those feelings of there are babies waiting for us, because that's how we feel about the frozen embryos. Those are potential children of ours, all of them. And to think that, those embryos could turn into life and be all our children is super exciting. And it's just knowing that there's the potential and the resource for growing our family ready for us right there. And it's still hard to wrap my mind around, because we're at this place where, we've constantly wondered before, when we weren't getting pregnant, what will our family look like? And we got Colton. And so we say, this is what our family looks like. but now it's continuing to grow our family. And what will growing our family look like? What will our next children look like? Because Colton and these next children will not be biologically related. These embryos are coming from another donor family that we had to match with. So they won't necessarily look alike. Maybe they will, because we often get comparisons of us to Colton and we're not biologically related. So it'll be interesting to see how our family continues to shape and how it looks. But it's exciting to know we have these embryos that are being worked through contracts to be our adopted embryos, our adopted children, and that, you know, over the next handful of years, God willing and praying for the best, we'll have 1, 2, 3, maybe more children that will come from this current adoption that we are in, which is very, very exciting and comforting. So that's where we're at right now with adoption number 2. And I'm going to try to keep things more updated than I did, obviously, with the first time, and even getting those videos out from my pregnancy. But I wanted to also be a resource and kind of share the process as it happens this time around, seeing how I've been able to connect with people since sharing about embryo adoption and give like the hindsight advice. Well, going through it again already, it's a different experience. And I'm asking for help from others, as you know, we've done it before. We're still with the same agency, but now going through it a second time, it's different. And we're facing different struggles because geographically we're in a different location as well. I'll try to keep up with this as much as I can as we kind of hit each milestone and things happen, and share with you guys our journey for embryo adoption number 2 and growing our family. Well, friends, such is life with infertility and I'm pretty sure adoptions in general. So I recorded the previous video just yesterday, probably 12 to 18 hours ago. And already things have completely flipped around on us. Basically, we are making the decision that we don't want to move our embryos. After speaking with the facility that I would have been traveling about 3.5 hours to, and hearing that the doctor's first recommendation would be to not move the embryos, but that they would be willing to receive them, it just kind of put me into a place where I'd already been considering it and wondering about what if we just traveled to the embryos for a transfer, knowing that could provide all of the hoops to jump through then of how do I do my care on this end, because that wasn't something we had to navigate the first adoption. After talking with them and then talking with our adoption director and talking between my husband and I, we just have decided for us, peace of mind, health and safety of those precious embryos, we're not moving them this time. So they will not be being brought anywhere near us, and we will plan travel in accordance with a potential future transfer date. And I will establish care with the doctor who will do the transfer, talk with him, send him medical history, all of that good stuff. And then he will communicate with, praise the Lord, I finally found one. There's a clinic somewhat local that will do the monitoring and report back to this doctor where our embryos are. This adoption is already proving to be very different. When it comes time to start preparing for a transfer, all of the medical stuff with monitoring and tests, I'm so thankful that there's a facility a lot closer and nearby to have all of that done at. But it will be interesting then, kind of corresponding between that clinic and then the doctor who will do the transfer, and then planning a trip to go to the embryos and have our transfer done. We feel so much more at peace. I feel so much stress off my shoulders to, one, have somewhat of a game plan. Of course, things aren't completely ironed out. They don't need to be for a little bit, but our adoption can wrap up. This takes out a couple steps from our adoption, actually, because we're not having to move them, and the adoption director's not having to coordinate their shipment between the clinic they're at and where they would be going to. So we can kind of just take that part out. They get to stay safe where they are. It's all good stuff. So feeling really good. It's just the craziness that is this aspect of life when you are working to grow your family, but require even any kind of, I feel like, IVF or fertility treatments. But for us, the coordination of adopting these embryos and then the care for them, the care for me once it will come time for a transfer, there's a lot of moving parts, but feeling really good and feeling a lot more confident now with somewhat of a game plan established and